So what's up, guys? We're back in with Late Night Shots, episode 29. I know it's been a while. I've been busy with college, a lot of stuff like that. Yeah, that's really it. No excuses, but we'll get right into it. So today's episode, we're going to talk about some of the most recent matches that went on. Couple events that have happened, just recapping them. We have Beat the Streets, the main one, put on my Flow Wrestling, and Rockfin put on an event finally with the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. It featured two heavyweight matches, which are Nick Neville's two-time All-American versus Jordan Wood, another two-time All-American, NWCA All-American, still pretty much counts in my definition. But another match, we have Greg Kerkvliet versus Yusuf Hamida. Kerkvliet, number one recruit in the class of 2019. Yeah, 2019. Him and Colton Schultz are basically sharing the number one spot. And he wrestled Yusuf Hamida, another two-time All-American from Maryland. Probably the only good wrestler to come out of Maryland in the last probably 10 years, honestly, at this point. Two-time All-American, placing sixth in 2019 and placing eighth in 2018, yeah. And the last match we're going to be talking about is Kyle Snyder. You obviously know who he is, three-time NCAA champion, four-time finalist, 2016 Rio champ. Yeah. Him versus Mike Machiavello, who's the 2019 national champ. Him out of an extremely weird bracket, to say the least. And we'll have one match we're going to talk about last. If you know what it is, comment it below. Maybe you get it right. I give you a follow back or something. I don't know. But, yeah, we'll just keep going. All right. So I think the first match was get this out of the way. Beat the Streets. I think the third match in. We had Gable Steveson from Minnesota versus Trent Hilger from Wisconsin. Just a little background on this match. Gable Steveson was most probably going to win the national title in 2020 if COVID didn't cancel the entire thing. He was undefeated, 14-0 going to the national tournament, missed a little bit of the season overseas, and suspension at the beginning of the season, which he actually suffered. Didn't end up getting the one seed in the Big Ten tournament, which kind of stopped a couple of rematches I wanted to see. Gable versus Trent Hilger would have seen that a second time if Gable did get the one seed like he should have. Because in my book, you're number one until proved otherwise, and Mason Bears didn't beat him. So I don't think Mason Bears should have gotten that one seed. But another match I wanted to see was Mason Bears versus Tony Cassiope. I think Cassiope kind of ended up on the bad side of the exchange, and it kind of cost him. I think the match has been a lot closer this time, but we'll find out next season, right? So Gable Steveson placed third in the NCAA as a freshman in 2019, coming behind Anthony Cassar and Derek White. He was ranked second, though. A win over White. It was kind of like the triangle there. So they kind of had to give Derek White the one seed just because he won his conference and he didn't have any prior loss to anybody in his conference. Trent Hilger is essentially a two-time All-American too. Placed eighth as a freshman. Some of his key wins would be Yusuf Hamida is one of them, obviously. He has a couple other ones. Gary Traub. Tate Orndorff's a big one, pinning him. And, so the match pretty much starts. Freestyle is obviously Gable's forte. Well, it's not Hilger's best thing. Hilger has a win over Mason Paris, too, whatever that means to you. I mean, his freshman year, Mason Paris wasn't all that, but comes into the match. Gable comes off right off the bat, scores a takedown within like 3 seconds, gets called out of bounds. Comes back. You've probably seen this video on Flow Wrestling. Gable post blast double, transition right into leg lace. And this is where he starts to rack up points in freestyle, which kind of not Hilger's best thing, and he's going to take advantage of the ground game a lot more, push outs and all that. And that ultimately just built up a bunch of points where it should have been like a 4-0, 6-0 match, really going into the second half. And then just end up with a tech fall, minute 13 seconds in. So, Derek, what are your thoughts on this match? You said you saw it, so.
Watching the match, especially when they announced everything, it was definitely exciting to see we have wrestling back. It kind of gives everybody who competes in sports still and, loves watching the sport, a little glimmer of hope that, COVID hasn't quite ruined everything yet. And it was great to watch some good wrestling, but anybody who thought this match was going to be anything but a blowout, there was a glimmer of hope for some people to see, maybe he could pull it out. But, I knew going into this that Gable was going to just rule the show here. And he really did. He really showed that he is one of the most dominant heavyweights in college wrestling right now. I mean, I'm sure this will transfer over once you see everything going on, with college, and if we get to see a college wrestling season. I think this is his season to really assert his dominance and really prove that, he could be the number 1 or number 2 wrestler in the nation, and kind of get back to where he was before, we had that big off season. And like you said, I'm sure he would have claimed a national title, but this was nothing but a slaughter. He showed just how athletic he is. He even posted, I think, after the fact of the matchup, like on Instagram, he posted like pictures of like last season, his body type, how he was built. And then this now, like at that event, he lost a lot of fat and just cut down, a lot more muscle, a lot more, built looking. And I think it really shows, his athleticism is insane for a guy like that. I mean, everybody knows when he won his last high school state title, he hit the backflip. But, you can't, you never really see many heavyweights doing stuff like that.
In general, for that fact,
Yeah. I mean, it was just insane to watch, him take a guy like Hilger, who, is not a bad wrestler at all. They didn't throw somebody to the wolves that, is not, capable enough of wrestling a solid match. I think he really just put it on him. He just, like you said, hit those blast doubles and, the lace and everything. It just proved, he really is going to be somebody that is tough to beat for all these guys that have been lingering in that like 5, 6, 7, 8 range and below. Now it's like he really asserted that you're going to be down there and you might not make that top 8 the next season. I mean, I'm sure somebody like Hilger is, he'll obviously, I'm sure, be an All-American, but, it kind of gets you thinking, like, if he does this to somebody like Hilger, what's he going to do to these new guys, these new heavyweights coming onto the scene, thinking, oh, well, he lost to Derek White, lost to Anthony Cassar, took a third NCAAs, which is obviously nothing to push over, but, I mean, it's insane. It's going to be crazy to see.
He beat Derek White when they wrestled. It was 8-2.
Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah, I think Cassar was the one who stunned him in the Big Ten finals and the NCAA semifinals. So I think
it's going to be insane. This season is going to be crazy to watch. I think there'll be a lot of shockers, especially at heavyweight. We'll save this till we talk about this person's match, but I think somebody's going to have Gable's number this year. Even though how dominant he looked, I don't think his raw, sheer athleticism matches this guy.
100%. I'm thinking if we're going to talk about people who could possibly dethrone Gable, you're going to have Nick Wisdowski. He wouldn't be dethroning him, but he'd be defending his spot. Don Bradley is another one.
Definitely.
And, the other guy we're going to talk about soon, right? But I think the craziest part of this matchup, which most people fail to realize, is this could definitely be national finals.
Definitely.
That Gable, Stevenson versus Trent Hoger's matchups are so high scoring is because Trent Hoger is the only guy I've seen take real attacks, real shots at Gable, except for Mason Paris. But Mason Paris just doesn't finish them most of the time, as long as we've seen him. I know Gable gave him like the free takedown with like the last 20 seconds left, Just be smart about the match. You won the match. At the end of the day, bonus points don't really matter in the postseason to an extent, but like it's all you win the match, Texting out, whatever. But yeah. That's
beat the streets.
Because I think Trent Hoger had an extremely close match with Mace Paris, 3-1 and 4-0.
Yeah, definitely.
He's proven that he can score. It's all really up to who comes out of the scramble and who can put themselves in a better position, right?
Yeah, definitely.
A guy like Tony Cassiope, who, if you can score on him, you can win. He can win that match.
I think honestly, the 3, 4, 5 is going to be a toss-up. I mean, I think 1 or 2 are going to be pretty solid, but I think the 3, 4, 5 is going to be a toss-up between a bunch of different guys.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm thinking, honestly.
Yeah, 100%.
I think the one guy who's going to have a lot bigger impact than people think, because people don't really like to look outside of the Big Ten for a lot of these things. So Matt Stevens,
100%.
Who's a 2-time All-American,
he's going to give people a problem. He is a solid wrestler.
He has a loss to Tony Cassiope in the Midlands Finals, but he also does have a first period pin over Mason Paris. So he is there to show up in the big matches when they matter. You know, not to say that the Midland Finals don't matter, but like the blood round of NCAAs is the most important match most
Yeah,
guys do. Unless you're
that certifies you. You know, that's that either make or break moment. It's like you either stay or you go home. It's
the
like,
moment that
yeah,
separates the boys from the men at that point.
yeah,
You know, Stencil showed up, Harris didn't. That's really the end of the story.
yeah.
But yeah,
And
go
you can't count out somebody like that. You know.
especially a guy with that size, that flexibility, and the slickness to hit those cradles from any position.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we will hop right into our next match. Today's probably gonna be a little bit shorter of an episode than we are used to, like 2-3 hours. Probably not gonna happen anymore, just due to time constraints. But we'll try to put out at least 3 to 5 episodes a week. Derek might not be in all of them if he's busy. I'll try to just come because I'm in like the lounge right now at college, and then I'll try to film something for you guys. Just keep putting out content, you know. But
Yeah.
this one we have Nittany Lion Wrestling Club's Nick Neville's and Lehigh's Jordan Wood. This I think was probably the most even match
100%.
of the entire offseason. Nick Neville's a two-time All-American. He placed seventh as a junior, and he placed fifth as a sophomore. Junior year, he suffered a couple of injuries, got the win in overtime against Yusuf Mida, and he actually placed fourth as a sophomore.
Yeah.
Overtime win against Jacob Kasparov, technicality. That can go anyways once, fourth and fifth range right there, you know. But yeah, solid wrestler all around, probably one of the most underrated guys you'll see. Senior spot, unfortunately, he loses his spot to Anthony Cassar. It is what it is. Could have seen some big things from him. I would love to see both of them compete, but it just doesn't work out like that sometimes. Then you have Jordan Wood, extremely technically sound. Nothing, not crazy big, not crazy strong, not crazy fast, but he's consistent and he's stable, you know. You can't count him out against anybody. He has the ability to get to your legs. And if he gets to your legs, chances are he's finishing. You can't really ride this kid a lot. And he has a solid ride on top, you know. Some of his key wins are going to be over. Obviously, you're going to have Amar Desi. Not Tate Orndorff. What's his name? I'm kind of missing it right now. Sam Stoll was the big one.
Yeah.
Who he ended up beating in the NCAA quarterfinals is what it was, yeah. And then he had a loss to Derek White in the semifinals in overtime. So he's one of the guys that's really overlooked as a four seed, like why he got the seed. But he showed up, took fourth, and he carried on with his business. So match starts off a little bit more low pace. These guys are both solid with their attacks. They get to the leg, chances are they're scoring, right? I think Jordan Wood gets in a couple snatches, doesn't really complete, and then Nick Neville's gets a nice, I think, drag it was to a right leg snatch, gets that up, gets the takedown on Wood, and everything's going fine. He's up 6-0 coming in. It's about a minute, 30 seconds left in the second period. Then Jordan Wood, they both have each other's ankles. Jordan Wood locks up Lace, takes it once. Now it's 6-4 because it was 6-2 earlier. Yeah. So now it's 6-4. It keeps going on, you know. All Neville has to do is not give up this one turn. He doesn't lose by criteria, but he get caught in bad situations sometimes, and he got the second turn, and they were stuck in parterre, didn't have a chance to get back to his feet. He might have taken back the lead, who knows, but he ended up losing the match 6-6 on criteria. I think more than anything, this should be a confidence booster for Jordan Wood and a point of encouragement for Nick Neville's. Both of them wrestled great matches. Neville's was definitely the better wrestler, but Wood saw something he took advantage of and he capitalized and got the win. I think that's more important. Wood wasn't too consistent, you know, his junior season, but if he can wrestle like this and keep through matches, he looked to be in a lot better shape than Neville's was. So I think if he can do that, he's going to be up there making like 2 through 6 at Dawson because he has the ability to take out guys like Cassiope, Paris, and all that. But you never really seen him against those guys last season, him being from the EIWA. Yeah, so I don't think there was too much really interesting to talk about in this match. Just not a lot of action in general. That's kind of how it played out. Traditional heavyweights, very talented guys. Not guys you're just going to put up a bunch of points on, but Played out the way it did. Solid match, I think, both ways. And then we're going to skip past the next match and go to this one where we have Kyle Snyder, the staple heavyweight when I started watching. He was the guy. The year I started wrestling, freshman year, was the year Snyder beat Conor Medbury in the finals. So 3-time NCAA champion, made the finals as a freshman. I think his biggest college win is going to be over Jaden Cox in the NCAA semifinals his freshman year. Beat the defending national champ, He's obviously going to be competing for that 97 kg spot. But the biggest thing for him is it's pretty much guaranteed to be Jaden Cox at this point because Kyle Snyder gets the bye to the finals, and Jaden Cox does not have to go through Bo Nickel anymore after he recently announced he was dropping to 86 kgs. So that's a big news. So that match was pretty much guaranteed at this point because I don't see anybody else at 97 who can really stop him.
No, definitely.
You may have Hayden Zomer, Mike Machiavello. I think Machiavello's looking good, but I don't think either of them are on the level. But Colin Moore, had a 6-4 match with Jaden Cox. People are going to say I'm crazy for saying this, but never count anybody out. I'm not going to say he wins. I'm not going to say he loses, but don't count anybody out in this situation. For this match, he took on Mike Machiavello, won the 197-pound NCAA title in 2019 in a weird bracket. This was the year that Colin Moore got pinned by Kyle Cannell in the NCAA quarterfinals. I think it is. Cannell was unseeded. Came out of the pigtails, actually. Pinned Colin Moore with a double underhook hip toss. And, Machiavello was the guy. This was his day. He saw an opening, pinned Kyle Cannell in the first period, and got to the finals, 1-1, third period, takes down Jared Haught and wins his title, He's just a guy who's been consistent the entire year. He found the opportunity, he won. That's really all it is. I've talked to him a couple times, probably the nicest dude you'll ever meet for being that jacked. But, yeah, what it looked like in this match was there was a controversial call, which I will talk about at the end, but Kyle Snyder just kind of looked a bit bigger than him at this point. I think when you get to that weight, it's kind of hard to put on mass, like good mass at that point. But, if you give him a year at the building, I think he could be really good at that weight class. It's just kind of a tough draw where he fell out. Maybe he cuts to 92 for the next one. Who really knows what his plan is at this point? Solid wrestler all around, though. Machiavello, starting off the match, Mike Machiavello taking a good amount of shots in Kyle Snyder, shoot your shot. He has nothing to lose at this point. Snyder's the one who has stuff to lose. Put the pressure on him. That was his goal in this match. Takes a couple shots. Snyder obviously gets in on his high crotch 2-3 times. He gets on it twice. It's up 4-0. Machiavello gets in on the leg. Snyder has a front headlock. Tries to chest wrap him. In my opinion, that should have been for Machiavello because he fell on top of him. He didn't go over. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. But they ended up ruling it in favor of Snyder, making it 8-0, which is a huge swing right there. It could have went from tied match to that. And when that happens, all the fire is going, momentum's going Snyder's way. That's something you can never give a guy of that caliber. And right into it, right when the second period starts, another takedown right there and tech fall. This is pretty much a one-sided thing, but it was a lot better of a match than people really failed to realize. Good action by both guys, but yeah.
Seeing a guy of the caliber of Kyle Snyder even get hit with a move like that from a guy like Machiavello, it was interesting to see, that chest wrap. I think personally it should have been 4. I think it should have tied the match up 4-4. And then, who would have known? I love seeing guys go out there, like you said in the beginning, with nothing to lose. They're putting everything out there on the line. He loses the match by a tech fall. Who cares? He's young. He's only going to improve from there on. He's wrestling a guy the caliber of Kyle Snyder, 3-time NCAA champ, Olympic champ. It's there. You're not going to get any better than that. It's he went out there, like you said, put it all on the line, let it fly, and he got teched. It happens. Like you said, you move forward, you get bigger, you get more technical. You practice. You kind of shine everything up that you have in your arsenal, and then you go back out there and you compete for that 97 spot. That's really all you can do at this point. You can't sit there and be like, well, I lost. but you lost to Kyle Snyder. You didn't lose to somebody who's like a nobody. You know, you go out there, you get teched. As long as like you said, he put everything out there that he had. You know, he 100% he drained his gas tank and he went out there and he competed. He competed with Kyle Snyder. This was not a match that he just got slaughtered. He was there to compete. And the score might not show it, but watching the match, he was honestly there, ready to take it to him.
Yeah, bringing up what you just said, competing. There's another match I want to talk about after the next one. Then, if we're going to talk about that, you probably already know what it is, but you guys probably already do also. But so next match we have probably the premier heavyweight match. We got Greg Kirkland out of Simley, Minnesota, was a redshirt for Penn State last year. He could even be taking a Olympic redshirt this year. Who really knows? At this point, get another year of separation from everybody, but
everyone wants to wait out Gable.
He could very well be the guy to dethrone Gable, Unlike Kassar. Kassar's a beast too, but unlike Kassar, he has more variation in his attacks.
Definitely.
Foot speed to match it, and probably just as strong from what I've seen. Plus, he's an amazing leg rider on top, and he has the freestyle status to go across with it. But again, as I said, Gable is number one until proven otherwise. Once he's proven otherwise, I will gladly say it, but I just can't say it right now. The same way I can't say Gable beats Swift right now. Gwiz is number one in the country until proven otherwise. And then his opponent, no slouch, Yusuf Hamida. And I'm going to explain my thoughts before this match. I had Greg Kirkland actually winning 4-0. He ended up tech falling Yusuf Hamida in 2 minutes and 40 seconds. I think the time was.
Yeah, I think it was like 2:40 something.
Know about this, why I predicted that score, is because when you saw Gable Stevenson and Yusuf Hamida wrestle, it was a 7-3 match. And 2 of those points were from a very bad attack by Hamida in the third period, just kind of desperation attack to maybe tie the match 5-5. But Gable had a lot of trouble getting past Hamida's height. And if you don't know who Hamida's wins are against, Seth Nevels is one of them. No slouch there. 6-2 win over Derek White of Oklahoma State. More guys. And more importantly, a 3-2 match with Mason Parrish, which he lost, but 3-2. What really impressed me is those are 2 guys who have a similar build, so I thought it might be upper body showdown. So, someone Greg Kirkland's matches, a 3-2 loss to Gable Stevenson, his junior year in high school. Gable was a year older, about 20, 30 pounds heavier. A 9-12 loss to Braxton Amos, who's a guy who never gave up a single offensive point in a folk style match in high school. That's another one. And as far as college goes by, he has a 6-4 win over Luis Fernandez of Cornell. Could very well be the talk for an All-American, depending on how he does next season. He has a win over Jordan Woods, 6-5 at the U23 finals. I think he has another 6-1 wins in the second match there. But a very dominant guy, knows how to wrestle, and wrestles smart but aggressive. The thing which really impressed me more is his variety of attacks against Hamida. I don't think he hit the same attack twice, or at least the same finish twice.
He looked like, I said this to my friends when we were watching, I was like, he looked like a lightweight. He wrestles like a 130 pound, like a 135 pounder. It's insane. It's crazy to see his just total knowledge of just moves, and his brain is constantly, I'm going to take this shot, I'm going to do this to finish. And I mean, he just has the size and the athleticism, the strength to just blow through people if he really wanted to. If he gets it on that blast double, you're going for a ride. He's just a unit. He's gonna walk right through you. And like you said in the beginning, I have to agree with you that Gable is somebody you have to say is number one. But I think if anybody has his number, it's gonna be Kirk.
100%.
I think if when we see that match, which I would assume probably when
maybe
do you see it? Yeah, I was gonna say, is there a duel between Minnesota and Penn State?
My thing about the duel is that's gonna be a good match, but is Penn State?
You could duck it. You could duck the duel. That's what I'm saying. Somebody could duck the duel.
Have to duck it. He can injure and throw Seth Melville's out there. Maybe loses by major, maybe tech. You don't
Or
know.
Gable could not wrestle. Gable could be injured and not wrestle.
I really couldn't tell you this.
I think it all depends on who has to send out first. If you're Penn State and you see Gable out there ready, are you going to send Kirk?
Anybody, to be honest.
No, I don't think so either. I think he's gonna want to wrestle. He's gonna want to go to battle.
But what I am going to say is that if Kirk does lose the first match, he's going to be the one to make the better adjustments, in my opinion. I just think he's more cerebral of a wrestler in that sense. He's better at picking and choosing his attacks.
I just don't see him
One of the
losing.
only guys that can replicate a foot speed of Anthony Cassar, maybe even faster. So that could be huge right there.
Like, I just see him wrestling. I think of just if you took Cassar and then mixed him with somebody who just has a killer leg ride, and then you take him with somebody who has the knowledge of wrestling, just everything. His arsenal is massive, and he can hit all these crazy moves. And like it's insane to see a guy that big just move like that. Like you said, his foot speed is insane.
Yeah. And he picks and chooses his shots very well.
Yeah.
I mean,
for heavyweight, his shot quality and quantity is insane.
I think something we're going to see between these two might be you're used to seeing these two guys get very quick finishes.
It's gonna be the gas tank. It's gonna be who could go the distance.
It might come down to the gas tank. I think if it goes to overtime, Kirk obviously is in better shape. As far as I've seen, Gable proved me wrong. Maybe he is, but as far as I've seen, Kirk's probably the one in better shape at this point, and Kirk is probably gonna have the better ride on top.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that 100%. That if Kirk gets on top, he's not getting up.
He might get up, you never know, but riding time could very well be a factor, just like it was with Gable and Anthony Cassar in the semifinals. 1 minute.
But back to the Kirk Hamida match. I mean, you just saw Kirk just take out his sheer athleticism on Hamida, and just absolutely, he really proved to everybody that he's at Penn State for a reason. He is that quality of wrestler that Penn State looks for, and how could he not be? You're in a room with Kyle Snyder, Bo Nickel, Shakur Rasheed, Anthony Cassar, Seth and Nick Nellis.
I think the main difference is Kirk knows how to keep his composure.
Yeah.
About Gable. Because, those 2 seconds of riding time with Anthony Cassar and Gable, that's the difference between you winning a national title and you placing third. Third's nothing terrible, but
yeah, obviously you're there to win. You're not there to get third.
So we're going into one last match that I really want to talk about. We'll just touch on 2 matches lately. One, I want to say, as far as we know, Thomas Gilman did make the move to the Lion Wrestling Club from the Hawkeye Wrestling Club. Whether that was a getaway from Spencer Lee, whether that was getting the better training staff, I could not tell you. But he's wrestled Darian Cruz a couple times prior to my knowledge. One in the NCAA semifinals of 2017, where he ultimately fell in overtime. And in the 2019 World Team Trials, where it was a little bit closer, but Thomas Gilman got the win pretty handily. Now, in this match, I'm always rooting for the underdog. I love Darian Cruz, but I like Thomas Gilman also. I just like the tenacity and aggressiveness of him. Cruz is probably the rawer athlete, by miles. Cruz gets in on a nasty sweep single, takes him down within 10 seconds, within the first few moments of the match. And then I look away, I look back, it's tied already 4-4, 8-4. And it just looked like Gilman was just bullying him, imposing his will on him, just broke him, honestly. Yeah.
You see somebody like Gilman, and I mean, I'm sure everybody has seen this clip of him. The one where I think he's at Oklahoma State, and he's like, I'll never turn my back because all these guys are behind me and somebody's going to take me out. And from that moment on, you truly see the character of Thomas Gilman evolve into not just a wrestler, but he's a psychopath. He is nuts.
Nick Soriano, you know.
Yeah, they're insane.
But they're
It's
so
like,
committed to the sport.
yeah, it's like that's their life. Like their life is wrestling. And I think Gilman really just went out there and put on a show. I mean, like you said, in the beginning, it looked like this was going to be a match to watch. Like this was going to be something to see. And then, I mean, as you saw, Gilman just, he did his Gilman way and just took the match over.
Yeah, I think this Dayton Fix getting suspended kind of solidified my 57 kg pick.
100%.
Yeah. Another match, which is going to be huge. Zane Rutherford versus Alec Pantaleo. So if you don't know, I'm actually rooming with Alec Pantaleo's cousin, Austin. He might hop on eventually. I don't know. It's kind of busy right now with a lot of stuff. But I was dumb. Zane's about tech and Zane's about bullying, knock him with that bow and arrow just like he did last time. These guys don't like each other. Mind that. Like there's a lot of crap between them. It's aggressive. You can see that during the match.
They were out for blood. You could see that they did not like each other at all. They were there to.
I was expecting Zane to just post one of them and just go. Alec Pantaleo blast double right through Zane. Luckily, Zane did not give up 4 on that. I'm still a Penn State fan at the end of the day. But I love to see an underdog prevail like that. It's amazing to watch, even if it is against my favorite team, But, yeah, and then you have you got passivity called on him, which I don't think I agree with. I don't like that too much. It was 2-2, Either way, Zane did get on an equal single, ended up finishing that for 2. Either way, Zane's match. Zane would have won either way off criteria or off a point, but it really is what it is at that point. But Zane was wrestling up from 149 to 157, so that might have been a little bit of it. But at the end of the day, Zane won. That's really all that matters. But a great showing by Alec. I did not expect that.
I think, I'm just going to, give an overall here. Obviously, it was amazing to watch wrestling again. I mean, it was insane to see, events like this happening. Kind of gives everybody who competes, like I said in the beginning, a hope. You see this and, you see these things going successful. And, there was that first event and you heard nothing about anybody. Nobody got sick from it, and I'm sure nobody's going to get sick from these last 2 events either. It just kind of shows everybody that you can wrestle. You can still, do sports like wrestling where you're right with somebody, right? There is no social distancing in wrestling, It's not a sport where, you're playing basketball or baseball where, you're not really touching each other. It's a sport where you are in a battle with the guy in front of you. And it's going to be crazy to see. And I'm sure there's going to be so much stuff, especially for you in college, to get on the mat. And I think this is just definitely a step in the right direction. And, it kind of just gives everybody a little glimmer of hope that, this isn't going to ruin this season as well as it did last year. There is going to be a season, hopefully, for everybody, high school, elementary, college, Olympic season. I think it's going to be great to see wrestling come back and, be able to watch the big college matches again and, see all the state tournaments happening and everything. It's going to be great to see that. And I think, the sport of wrestling is going to be, come back in full swing because everybody's waiting to see more wrestling. They want these events like nothing. They want another one next month and another one the month after that and just keep pumping out these events, which obviously I wouldn't mind watching these events. It's great to see, especially I like the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club one. That was a really, really good event. I like seeing a lot of those Penn State guys get back into battle like Nolf and Nickel and definitely seeing Kirk step on a mat, which was really, really great. But overall, I think it was, these were 2 great events. Beat the Streets is obviously it's always been good. Beat the Streets has been good for however many years now that they've been putting it on. I'm excited to see how these young guys do. A lot of really, really, really good young guys for a lot of these teams. It's going to be crazy to see, especially Penn State. Penn State could pull out an absolute crazy lineup this year. We had Michael Beard, Kirk,
Next episode.
What's that?
Next episode. Nah, I'm kidding.
And then you got Bo Bartlett. It's all these guys are just insane. These young guys for all these teams. And also, I want to see if we could get, are we going to see Sirianni wrestle again? I mean, I saw that he was in the Rutgers wrestling room. Who knows if we'll see him on the mat again this season, because he does have one more year, right?
I mean, you may see him, you may not, but we're getting towards the end of our time right here. And let me just say a couple of things. If you made it to this point, comment your pick for the 2021 national title at heavyweight. If you are correct, I will give you a shout out, but it has to be posted within the next week. But all right, our next episode will probably be maybe Who's Number One preview. It's going 6 p.m. Eastern Time, October 3rd. We'll probably try to get one out for you. You know, I know one of my boys, one of the Jersey boys, Dean Peterson, is going to be competing there, so it's going to be something I'm definitely going to be watching. Yeah, so this has been episode 29, and thank you guys for watching. We will catch you in the next couple of days. Peace.